Last year I visited and photographed the Holderness coast in East Yorkshire in the north of England, which is considered the fastest eroding coastline in not only the country but also the whole of Europe. Over 2 days I witnessed an immense variety of subjects and landscapes, all affected by the constant change, and I knew that I wanted to document these places long term. During that trip, I was also working with a new-to-me format in XPAN, which felt like the perfect fit for the subject matter, and one that I fell in love with very quickly. But unfortunately, the camera that I was using, the Hasselblad XPAN, I just had on loan from my friends over at Camera Store. I had to send it back last year. But I was speaking with them at the start of this year, and they showed interest in wanting to help support me kind of making this work moving forward, just showing interest in long-term photo projects, which I thought was very cool. So they offered to send this back out to me on loan again for the year to basically pick back up where I left off with this project. So very excited to be able to shoot with this camera again. And today I'm doing exactly that. I'm back out on the Holderness coast, got here very early this morning, and going to spend today and probably part of tomorrow, we'll see how things go, just exploring this area and making some images. Starting today, looking for a specific subject that's relatively quite new, and I'll explain in a minute, but shows off this coastal erosion and this change quite drastically from the images that I've seen. So hop into the car, go walk and look for this, and I'll give you a lay of the land. Okay, so as you can see, the road kind of ends very abruptly behind me, and I actually came out to this location in my last video and photographed here, but specifically why I wanted to come out here is just a couple weeks back. What happened is there was this old underground bunker that was part of the Royal Observer Corps, and this would have been used back in the day to, say, measure and monitor a nuclear explosion or a nuclear blast. There are tons of these all across the United Kingdom, but what happened is the coastline eroded so far in that it reached this bunker, eroded around it, and then it fell, like I said, quite recently, down onto the beach and into the sea. So a very dramatic, kind of visible sign of change happening, and one that I wanted to come find. It's high tide right now, so I'm going to go for a walk from here up above, see if we can find it, maybe make an image or two, and then we'll try and get on the beach after and check it out from there. All right, so I found it. Actually, it was much closer than I thought it was going to be, but a little hard to see. Obviously, with this recent erosion, you don't want to get too close to the edge, but this is definitely going to be one to visit from down below, I think, once the tide goes out. But regardless, I'll give you a peek. It's pretty wild. So there it is, right down there. Only been down there for a couple weeks, and pretty wild to see. Be easier to get a kind of feel for the scale of the thing once we get down there, but wow, wild. Lots to see out here. I'm gonna try and not rush things today. I feel like the last trip I did out here, so consumed by it all that I was like all over the place. So take our time today. There'll be many more trips back out here. All right, so just gonna head down here and see if we can get access to this beach. It's looks like it's kind of in front of a caravan park, so I don't know if it's, you know, public access. You would assume it would be, but we'll go check it out. I gotta say though, you know, I've only been up here on the one previous trip, and this is kind of the second time starting to make this work, but there's something honestly so fun about diving into something new kind of area, new subject matter. Just, yeah, the beginning is always so much fun, you know? You never know what you're gonna find. But even with this, you know, just trying to keep it open and yeah, not too many expectations, just have fun. Enjoy the process right now. Okay, so beach access, finally found it. The tide is still fairly high. Wow, you can even see just behind me here, everything is just like the whole coastline's pushed up and very, very dramatic. So I think it's that way to the bunker. I'd like the tide to be out a bit, so I'm gonna go for a walk this way. Maybe do a kilometer down the coast, we'll see what we find, and then we'll see if by that point we can head down, check out the bunker. The shoreline here is incredible. You just have these like little kind of mini peaks everywhere. Getting backlit right now. Ah, the sun is pretty intense. It's hard to avoid getting into the frame. See if I can not get my feet completely soaked to start the day. Okay, so I just finished my walk all the way down there, about a kilometer and a half. I didn't record any, I just actually went and shot a bunch, so I'm done this first roll of film. Be curious to see how many keepers, I guess we'll call them, are on there, but the tide is definitely going out now, so we're gonna head down this way and we'll go and visit this bunker. Load in another roll here quick though. Good to go. making some progress. It's very strange, I gotta say, walking down here, kind of along the cliffs. This area is not too bad, but you can see just, yeah, very recent activity all over. All the wires coming down. See the old fence post up there. There it is. What we've been looking for. Pretty wild to find this. And just crazy to think that this was 100 meters inland at one point. And the coast has moved in so far that this is on the beach now. Would have been a big access hatch with stairs, and it would have been flipped like this. So that's the bottom, and that would have been the access hatch that you go in. And then this, I'm assuming, would be some sort of ventilation. Just a box. In case of nuclear war. A couple people sitting down in that thing. Crazy. All right, photograph this. So I do like the sun out a bit, it's kind of backlighting it. Might give a little bit of shape to the building. So I'm going to shoot this while that's there. Just really cool to be able to come out here, come down on the beach and get access to this morning. Really, really wild to see this. Anyways, I think it's time for some lunch. Gonna hoof it back to the car and then visit my next spot. It's one I shot last time, but like this weather a little better and want to explore just a little more. So we'll head out to this next place and keep rolling. This right here is one of the most dramatic kind of areas, I would say, just because you're not that high up, but you can see there used to be so much more here. And in particular, this was one of the first areas I looked at on Google Maps. And there used to be, like, when I first came out here, I expected there to be all sorts of other stuff, which obviously doesn't exist anymore. All right, so believe it or not, this is the path. And I actually walked this last time I was here. And I'm not gonna lie, it's looking sketchier than last time, but it's the way we'll go. So coming to an interesting area. Honestly, I think I'm gonna play it safe and not walk over that little foot wide piece of overhang. So I'm gonna cut through there, I think. All right, slight detour. Probably the right decision though. It's coming up to our spot right here. This, what would have been the road, well, it still is a road, but the road would have carried on through here and just absolutely no longer exists. It ends abruptly right in front of us. wanted to come and make another image here, but I think already, you know, the one I made last time was one of my favorites. The sun was out, there were people on the beach and stuff, and I can already tell that. All right, so what I was saying before my camera fell over, I don't know if it recorded that or not, but I was saying I think the image I shot here last time I'm gonna like more. Actually, I'm sure of it. You know, it was sunny, there were people on the beach, just a little more flat. So I'll see if I can make one or two and then maybe look around here a bit more. But yeah, I think the last one's gonna be the one. Also very happy my camera didn't break. I had to pull my lens back into position and it seems to be fine. Anyways, don't fall over, camera. Yeah, you can already see, without any sun, the road kind of just blends into the beach below, so certainly not as dramatic. I'm gonna tear down my video camera before it falls over again. I've got about an hour and a half of light left, probably before it gets dark. Gonna visit one more spot, but I'm through 2.5 rolls of film. It's interesting because when I first worked with the XPAN and enjoyed working with the wider aspect ratio, my mind went to 6x17 right away. I was like, you know, bigger negative, maybe I should try that out. But it's one of the things that I've really come to enjoy about this, is it's a nice change from the work I typically do. And you know, you go out shooting Portrait 400 today, working handheld, auto wind, a little more kind of, I guess, encouraged by the camera to shoot more and experiment a bit more, knowing that I have 21 frames per roll. So it's been fun. Anyways, gonna see if I can get through the rest of this roll before the day ends. I'm gonna just visit one last spot in mind and yeah, go from there. Decide on what happens tomorrow. All right, so I think that's gonna do it for this evening. Nice to get back and explore this area. I'll be excited to see what these images look like. And I think what I'm actually gonna do tomorrow morning is I'm gonna head a couple hours south. We'll go check out one spot in the Norfolk area where there's some coastal erosion that I've wanted to go take a look at. So we'll make some photos there, finish things up. But yeah, really nice to get back and shoot with the Hasselblad again. And I'm looking forward to using this a whole lot more. Anyways, gotta jump in the car, find some food, then find a place to sleep, and we'll pick things up tomorrow.
So I ended up spending most of the second day just focusing purely on the photography and not really doing that much filming, which to be honest was quite a nice change after a pretty hectic first day. And I ended up visiting 2 locations in particular along the Norfolk coast, spending maybe a total of 4 or 5 hours shooting, and I would say made another handful of images that I was quite happy with. And I want to just jump in the office here for some kind of wrap-up thoughts, talk about a few things, and typically in the past, I'll kind of comment on the photos and how I feel about them, but it's a change that I've wanted to make is to just start letting things sit for longer, because I find that almost always when I look back at work I've made, say a month or 2 months down the road, I always feel differently about it. And I think in the past, I've been kind of quick to judge or quick to write off certain images. So I like the idea of just letting things sit, putting in the reps, adding it to collections once the photos are made, and then just kind of revisiting it, over a month or 2 months and seeing how I feel about it. So that's the plan for now, but overall just really fun to get back out with the XPAN and start exploring these areas and making this work again. And in the video though, I did put up a title card saying that I had some development issues. I just wanted to touch on this briefly because maybe you noticed it, or maybe you didn't. Maybe I've just been looking at the images for too long, but in the past, with any project work or stuff that's important to me, I'll always try and kind of develop it myself, purely just so I'm in control, and if I mess anything up, I know what went wrong. It's kind of on me, for better or for worse. But I had quick turnaround with this video, so I took this film just to a local 1 hour lab that I have here that I've used a lot in the past and had really great results. But I don't know if there's just bad luck on this day, but it looks like to me there was some sort of issue with the developer. A bunch of frames had what looks like uneven development, where the top half of the frame after conversion was darker than the rest and had this really heavy blue cast. And then there were a bunch of other frames that had big red blotches in areas after conversion, or even just physical marks on the frames themselves. So yeah, I'll be honest, a bit of a bummer when I converted these and saw that. I was a bit disappointed, but just how it goes sometimes. And regardless, still feel pretty good about just putting in the work and getting up to these places. And I know there'll be many more trips out here. So like I said, there's still some that, I'm pretty happy with, and I'll just let these sit for now and revisit them in a little bit and see what I think. But also just got to give a shout out to Camera Store again. Like I said at the start of the video, they sent me the XPAN to use for the year. Obviously, we have this working relationship. They've sponsored this video and some others this year, but when we were chatting at the start of the year, they just purely were interested in sponsoring videos where I'm going to work on projects. They aren't too interested in me doing reviews and stuff like that. And I think that's really cool. Just, wanting to place a focus on image making. So shout out again to them, and highly recommend checking them out. I'll put a link to their website below. If you're not familiar, they're basically one of the largest used retailers of film and digital camera gear. They check and test and repair if necessary all their equipment and offer warranties. So just a great place to buy gear and feel confident about what you're getting. So thanks again to them. And that's going to wrap this video up. I just want to say thank you for watching, especially if you made it all the way to the end. Thank you. And I'll see you again soon with another one.